Coming up this week on the OK Bloomer podcast.
It was either his penis or his ear. It's one or the other.
It always is. I feel like my day is constantly choosing between those two in every decision I make.
Don't know about the future. Don't.
They don't care about the future, because they live it in the past. Sal and Curtis are taking all 5 seasons of Blossom to task. You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll be weak in the knees. This show's got more range than Nick on the keys. Only gal in the house, and that's how she goes. One brother was a junkie, and the other one was. Weekly lessons coming fast in the Russo flat. Blossom's teenage girl problems are as big as her hat. So take your opinionations and make them shine. It's the OK Bloomer podcast, and it's about damn time.
Don't know. Don't know.
Welcome to another edition of the OK Bloomer podcast. It's where myself, Curtis Anderson, and my co-host, Sal Accardo, revisit what was Blossom. And we go episode by episode and do deep dives of every single episode of every single season of the 90s hit, in quotation, sitcom Blossom. A show with, ready for this, Sal? A show with more woes
Hit me.
than the Roc de Sultre theory, which was a site in France where early humans drove herds of wild horses over a cliff to kill them. Whoa. Right? I was proud of that. I worked on that a long time. You guys can laugh.
Your
louder at that
references
anytime.
are off the chart, dude.
We're going. All right, Phenom, what do we have today?
I wasn't ready. Okay,
Oh.
we got
You were still laughing. I get it. It actually says pause for
It's
laughter
true.
here in my script. So
Season 3, Episode 4, What Price Love? Disney Plus says Blossom's friendship with Six is put to the test. TV Database says Joey uses an escort service in an attempt to ease his overactive hormones. Blossom's new romance threatens her friendship with Six. And IMDb says, realizing that no one will be home for the night, Joey hires a call girl for his first sexual experience. However, when people start coming home unexpectedly, Joey must find a way to sneak her out of the house.
yep. Everyone's coming but Joey.
That's the one. I gotta say though, what price love? What the does that mean?
Because he paid for it.
I get it, but it's like, shouldn't it be what price for love, or like
don't
what
know.
price is love? What price love?
Yeah,
was the title.
That's like how the kids text these days. It was way ahead of its
Okay.
time.
I guess so.
You gotta cut down the time and use less words. We're all busy, Sal. How are you?
All
I
right,
didn't even ask. It's been a while.
It has been a while.
What's going on, buddy?
We've both been away. It's been a minute since we've gathered to talk Blossom. Same
This
old stuff
happened
going on
very
here.
last minute too. It was like a day
It
ago.
did.
You're like, hey, can we record this weekend? I was like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
So it was fun yesterday, just like power
Just to
watching
scramble and,
2
and
episodes.
cram and watch a couple episodes of Blossom and figure it all out. I mean, we do this once a week, so I don't know what we're talking about here.
Absolutely.
You know?
Don't
Yeah.
break
No,
down
it's
that
good.
fourth
I
wall.
was I was away. We're gonna date this. I was away. I was in Las Vegas for WrestleMania, as you know.
Mhm.
It was a time was had. It was a lot of fun. You were away. You're at Disney.
You literally got back pretty much like a couple days before I went to Disney World,
That's right.
and it was
Our
very hot.
schedules are all over the place, man.
It was very hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
it
gonna
like
say, you
32,
look
pounding
tan.
the parks at 32, 33.
Amazing.
Yep.
Good times. But yeah, we're back now. We're back at it, hitting the pavement with some Blossom.
We're focused. We're ready to go.
Well, that's
Let's power through season 3, Sal. It's only 5 seasons, right?
yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's gonna come quicker
got
than we
5
thought.
seasons.
Now that we're
True.
doing this weekly, we got to start thinking about our next project. Maybe Perfect Strangers.
We could do that. I'm all for it. We've discussed what the next project may be. We have ideas floating around because obviously Blossom's not going to live forever.
We have ideas, and they're just as bad as this one, and I cannot wait to execute them in the best possible way.
Right?
Right, Sal. Let's jump into this, okay? I'm so pumped for this.
I love it. Let's do it.
Okay, go for it.
So we get a cold open here. Nick and Tony are on the couch. They're rifling through an unreal amount of mail. Like it's just an unreal pile of mail that they're rifling through on the coffee table. Nick's throwing letters across the room into a garbage bin. And I wrote, they're probably unpaid bills because he's a deadbeat. And then Tony opens the letter and he's all concerned because he got a chain letter. A chain letter.
Right?
That's
Was that a
that's
thing?
something
I
of
have
the
no
time.
memory of a chain letter.
I mean, my only knowledge of chain letters is from sitcoms.
Yeah,
I
fair.
remember like when the internet was kind of in its early days and everybody had like, hotmail.com or whatever. There was chain
Still do.
emails. Yeah, right? Oh, that's true. I don't know what I'm talking about here. Uh,
I
you
still
never
get
got
mail from those like Serbian princes that need to get rid of their
right?
wealth, Sal,
Yeah,
and I
man.
cannot forward that fast enough.
Yeah, you never got chain emails. I remember those for
Yeah.
sure, but like a chain letter in the mail was something that I personally never received. But I remember chain emails coming very
Mhm.
early on.
When I
And
first
same
started
same
at
idea.
McNally Robinson, they hired this guy because there was like the two that like owned it and looked after everything, and every once in a while they would just like bring a plant from Winnipeg to our crew to like spy on us. And one time this guy started, yeah, and he like was friends with the owners, and you know how it is. And on day one, he forwarded this chain email internally with this huge like heartfelt forward. He's like, this boy needs a heart transplant and he gets 2 cents every time you forward
How do I
this
laughing?
email. And the thing was a book, and then he wrote this huge foreword about how like as booksellers we should come together and do our part, and everyone just laughed at him like, you idiot. And that's my biggest memory
You
of
got
like a chain
scammed, bro.
email.
Yeah. I tried to look up the history of chain letters and I didn't get very far. It basically is like I guess originally it was a money scam. It was a way to like, oh, send $2 back to this or you'll have bad luck forever. And then it eventually turned into like you have to write this out to 30 people and otherwise you're going to have bad luck for the rest of your life. And that's kind of where this
Mhm.
scene went with Tony.
I looked up chainmail and it got Scott Steiner and WCW.
Right?
Do you watch What We Do in the Shadows?
No. I've
Okay, they
heard
had a whole
everybody's
episode
told
where
me to
they
watch
got
this show.
they got one of those emails and it like set them off. It was really funny. But if you have no context of the show, no point
I
talking about
apologize.
it. Continue with Blossom.
Yeah. So, and then Nick starts telling Tony about this story about a guy named Horsteep, who was a Swedish beekeeper, and he died by being stung by 10,000 bees that he loved like his own family. And then he was struck by lightning in the one place he had not been stung. And then Tony refuses to be intimidated by this chain letter. He's like, no, I'm out. I'm not doing it. And then as soon as he gets up, the lamp beside the couch explodes, which is like, I don't know. It made me laugh.
It was pretty funny.
And he's like, we got any stamps? And that was the cold open. And I feel like I don't know. I feel like I've seen this joke on other sitcoms before,
Totally.
but whatever.
Okay,
Chain
my
letters.
run through of that is Anthony gets a chain letter as Nick throws all his restraining orders into the trash. We get a racist joke, but it's against the Swedes, and that's like, I think that's okay because they're in the group with like Scottish and Irish where it's okay to make fun of them. They don't get offended. And then yeah, so that dude
And
got
Italians
stung.
too.
What? Yeah, no
And
doubt.
Italians too.
Totally. And then yeah, he got hit by lightning in the one place he wasn't stung by bees. So like his penis? Was that the joke? Was the one place?
maybe.
I don't know. His ear? I didn't know what they were going for there.
It was either his penis or his ear. It's one or the other.
It always is. Like, I feel like my day is constantly choosing between those two in every decision I make. It's one or the other, Sal. Okay, we go into intro. It asks if I want to skip it, and Phenom can back me up because not only do I not skip it, I watch it twice.
Whoa.
Right? I was
Wow.
watching this in the kitchen. It was just him and I. I think he was making a grilled cheese sani or something, and I was like, this is too good. I wanted to hear it twice. And
We got to run that back.
give me a second here, okay? Because then I got
all yours.
uncomfortable. I never ever noticed the part where Blossom is dancing with Six. What Blossom is wearing is atrocious. Her
Okay.
outfit when she's dancing with Six, and I'm like, I must always be watching just like Jenna Von Oy dance. And then suddenly I'm paranoid. I'm like, how old was she in this show? Because, I always talk about how Jenna Von Oy, like, went on to become an adult woman and a supermodel, like a bikini, like, pageant model. And I was like, how old was she actually in Blossom? And I looked it up. She was born in 1977, which puts her around 15. So I think I'm good, but I'm gonna need Phenom to go back and watch the first 40 episodes of Blossom and like make sure I didn't say anything not on par about 15-year-old Jenna Von Oy, and make sure I was always talking about her in the future tense, because that really, I was like, yeah, they're like 15. But
It's all in context, though, right? Because you're not talking about her in the show and you now.
right.
When she was on the show, you were also the same age, roughly.
So that would be cool. That'd be fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
So
a
if I'm
fine
ever
line that
talking about 15-year-old Jenna Von Oy, it's through me as a 15-year-old in like 1992 as well. So that's off the hook.
right. And I just keep my mouth shut about the whole thing because I don't want anybody coming for me. So
Because you're Team Blossom anyway.
wow.
All right. Okay. We start with Corel Draw, which I love that.
I can't get over
filter.
it. I'm not used to it yet.
And McTardy and Blossom are on the couch.
Mick Tardy.
What's his name? It's Vinny what?
Vinny Bonatardi.
Bonatardi. Okay. Yeah. Mick
Yeah.
is his Irish brother. Okay.
Right.
He's reading Blossom's palm. This is really funny. He's like, oh, it says here, we're going to bang.
Yeah,
Full
pretty
marks
much.
for
He's
being
talking about
creative. This is me.
he's talking about how there's a lot of kissing in her future, and then he's like, oh, there's gonna be a lot more, and maybe something else, just as Nick is strolling in right behind him and he doesn't see.
And he whacks Vinny with a newspaper like he's a dog.
Yeah.
And then they have
You
this
don't s-
amazing camera work where they shoot like super low. So Nick looks like
Yeah.
he's like 8 feet tall looking down at
Yeah.
Vinny. I really like that. That was a good attention to detail. Like he looks so
Yeah.
menacing, and it's hard to make that guy look menacing. But I was like, damn, I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah, and the crowd was laughing their ass off when he hit him with the newspaper.
Always like
They
a
love
dog.
that. They love that bit. And Nick walked in looking like he's working on Wall Street in the 1980s. I don't understand why he's dressed up, but whatever.
He doesn't have a job.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, keep
Uh,
going.
Carry on.
Okay, I do the checklist. Allison, co-executive producer, Goldstein and Prince are back. Mercer, and then here we go. Sally, ready for this?
Yeah.
Written by Eve Needleman. Have we met Eve Needleman before?
I took note of that, and I was wondering the same thing. I don't believe we have.
I don't think so. I wrote, who the is Eve Needleman? So I looked up Eve. Eve wrote for 3 episodes of the John Larroquette Show, 13 episodes of the Larry Saunders Show, 1 episode of Lenny, 1 episode of News Radio, and 53 episodes of Blossom.
Wow.
So I
So
think
this is
Eve
where-
Needleman, which sounds completely made up, sounds like
Yeah, I
Don
agree.
Rio's pen name, is here for the long run. 53 episodes, and I haven't tracked Eve Needleman before, so I'm wondering if it's all like Eve Needleman from here on in.
Could be. Did she get like canned off all these other shows and then like somehow really found her stride on Blossom?
I'd argue she did. I mean, spoiler, I kind of like this episode.
All right, let's get into it, man. Let's
Can
keep
I pop
going.
in for a second?
Absolutely. Pop in
Sure.
anytime.
I'm
Phenom.
looking in IMDb. It looks like she wrote 2 episodes, but was a production assistant for 53.
Oh, okay.
All right, well, thanks for making me look like a chump. That's fine. Your Google's better than mine. To be fair, I just saw Eve Needleman and then the 53 beside Blossom. So I just took it from there. I
And
got
the
time to
research
click on that.
stopped there.
Okay, so we're not okay. Well, that's sad. I thought Eve Needleman wrote the next 53 episodes, and we were in for a wild ride. But no,
So sorry, how many did she write?
2.
Oh, well, there's
I'll
a
see
big
where
difference
the other
there.
one is.
he was hitting me with Blossom trivia before we started
Wow.
rolling. There's a Halloween episode coming up, Sal. I'm so excited. I almost want to
Oh, that's
if it does
awesome.
not line up, I almost want to do it out of order so we can drop a Halloween episode on like Halloween week.
The other episode she wrote
We can
was
do
season
whatever we
2,
want.
episode 20. You must remember this.
Oh,
So we've
okay.
seen all the Eve Needleman we're going to see.
No! I thought this episode was so good. Damn it. All right. You must remember
did
this.
you
Was
like
that one of
that
the
one?
John Green episodes?
Maybe. I don't know. We
I
should
don't know.
really
I'm
know
about
the
to
history
post
of our
those.
own
I'm
show.
still plugging away through the unreleased. I'll release another one today of taping day. Because I think I think we're at the episode you and I recorded the day before your wedding when it was just you and I before the John Green episodes. I think that's the next one of the
Right.
lost episodes of 2022.
And that was 3 years ago.
But we're back. It doesn't matter. Like no time passed. I mean,
Okay.
Blossom's 30 years old, so what's another couple
Well,
of
that's
years,
true.
right?
Whatever. Okay.
Okay.
Where are we at? Let's get back on track here.
Joey's talking about baseball, Sal.
Yeah, so Joey comes in and he starts making sense. Nick's like, I hate this. And Joey's like, well, he's like, if this is what they do in front of you, you can only imagine what they do when you're not around. And I was like, yeah, that's fair. That's, yeah, true enough. So Joey has a big baseball game tonight, but Nick has to work late, so he's not going to make it. Where's Nick working? Nobody knows. Joey doesn't mind. He says there's going to be so many babes there. And he says, you know how Babe Ruth used to point before he hit a home run? He's going to point at the babe of his choice and then hit a home run after the game.
That's good stuff.
I like that one a
That is some
lot.
good writing. See, I was like, Eve Needleman. We're off to a good start, Eve. I tracked the exact same thing. As Joey's sleeves ripped off denim jacket. Amazing.
And then he had a flannel shirt tied around his waist
Of course he did.
at the same time.
Because he's showing us the
It's-
grunge is on its way.
The 90s are in full effect here, and I love it. That's
I
maybe
really
one of my
enjoyed
favorite
this.
parts of the
This
show.
scene was really well. It was really well done. Really well executed.
Yeah.
I did note that Blossom is the one dressed like the Joker this week. She's trying to get Anthony Spot in 2008's Dark Knight.
Yeah, she's trying really hard for 16 years later for
Right.
Anthony to get his big break. Blossom's talking about how she's going to go see Vinny at lunchtime, and then they're going to see each other after school. And Nick seems to not be able to believe that she's going to see Vinny twice in one day.
Well, that's because
I
he's
don't know
never
why.
he's never had a second date of any girl he's ever slept with. So he's like, what? What are you doing?
That's a good point. That is a
This
good
is all
point.
foreign to him.
Right. And then Six busts in the back door wearing a Blossom hat. And Blossom forgot about the plans that they made because Vinny was there. And then they decide that they're going to walk to school together. And Blossom has to change her outfit. And Nick's like, well, why are you doing that? She's like, well, Vinny's already seen me in this one.
I
And
liked
see.
how Nick and Six were kind of bonding here.
Yeah.
I really like
Yeah.
that. I don't
There's
know
a
if
lot
that's
more of
really
that to
been
come in
that-
this episode.
I don't know if that's really been a dynamic they've explored a lot yet. Hey, you got your cup.
Yeah, that's right.
Nice.
We're on track.
Good.
They've done it once or twice before, and I feel like it's worked,
Yeah.
both times. Mainly because Six doesn't have a father, so
Yeah. Yeah, so they bond about how much Vinny sucks and how much of Blossom's time he gets. And then ready to move on. We get Too Many Cooks. And it's like the old and the new because it starts with like
Yeah.
the drum machine and then suddenly it transitions into like the season 2 sax. Someone is really working hard behind the scenes here. They're bridging the old with the new, Sal.
yeah. I liked it. I like that we still get the Too Many Cook shots.
Mm-hmm.
So it's outside the Russo house. Six is downstairs waiting in the living room talking to Nick. And she's just been sent to the curb. She's on the back burner now that Blossom's dating Vinny.
Mm-hmm. She
Nick
confides
says
to
that
Nick Blossom's pushing her out, and I made note once again, it's Six with the hat, not Blossom.
Yep.
And then this is a great line. Well, first of all, she's got a hat, but she's also dressed like a mom from the 1950s for some reason. Nick asks Six if she's heard of Love Blinders, and Six
Yeah.
makes a hilarious face and goes, "You think they're into something kinky?" And I took a
Yeah.
screenshot. I'll probably just
Oh
bring
my
it
God.
up. And
I took
edit
note
it,
of that
but-
too, man. I said the face that she holds on, they hold the shot and her making that face for a good like 3 seconds, and it's hilarious.
It's not going to do it
Yeah.
justice. I'll bring it up when we edit it, but she's just like
Yeah, it's so good.
Jenna Von Oy already, I'll tell you, gets the acting nod this episode. She is on fire. She is using every second of screen time she gets. Then
All
Blossom
right.
comes down in a leather jacket, as
Yeah.
you know, like she's dressing for Vinny. And I honestly, this is working for her. This is working for her. When she doesn't dress
You like it, eh?
dumb, I was like, yeah, look at you, Blossom. You should run with this. Vinny's treating you well.
Does she ever does she dress dumb? Like we think it's dumb now? Because I swear to God, my whole knowledge of Blossom was that she was some kind of like fashion icon of the 90s. So it's like, I don't know what to believe anymore.
I know what you mean, but I think that may just be like revisionist history. I don't know if anybody was watching it at the time, if girls were watching at the time being like, I need to dress like that, because I can't remember girls really dressing like Blossom. But maybe I just wasn't like attuned to it in 1991 and 2. But she always looked like a clown to me. And maybe that was just, in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, middle class. Nobody had the money to dress like the girls on Blossom, but it's been jeans and t-shirt my whole life, man. That's all I've ever seen the girls in. All through school in the 90s and 80s. That's it. But I mean, maybe in the richer parts. Maybe in, where's this take place? Like San Francisco, do we know?
Yeah, it's in LA.
Yeah. Maybe that's how the gals were dressing. I don't know.
Could be. What do we know? That's why we're doing this podcast.
6 says she wants to hang with Blossom, and they try to like pick out times and dates, and Blossom's full because she's devoted all her free time to Vinny. And then 6 so overreacts. She throws something across the room and tells Blossom to forget she ever met her and storms out. And then there's a great shot of Blossom standing there as the door like opens and closes.
Yeah, I took note of that too.
Yeah.
Where like the double hinge door is
swinging
like
door.
swinging back and forth, and she's just standing there like defeated.
It's a saloon.
Yeah. Great shot. Great shot. I like
Eve
that
is
a
working
lot.
hard today. She was, Eve was on the floor during the technical production of this.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
she's like, we need the door swinging.
Door.
Come on, Bixby. Get your together, man.
Get off your ass and get to work, Bixby. We're not on autopilot this week.
This ain't the Incredible Hulk, bro.
I got to get to John Larroquette later today. Hurry this up.
We got to get to Larry Sanders' show. There was an actor on this show. What was her name? Arlene McCafferty.
Yeah.
We got to bring her back as the
You want to
wife.
tell that story?
I mean,
Out of
there's
nowhere,
really
like
nothing
2
to it.
a.m., I get this text from Sal.
And it's funny how randomly it came to me because I would say maybe this was like a little before pandemic. I binged all of Larry Sanders' show, which is like great show, phenomenal, so good.
Do you know who's
Gary
obsessed
Shanley.
with the Larry Sanders show? Sorry, before you tell your story.
No, go ahead.
Kevin Nash. Not
Oh,
to
yeah?
take it back to wrestling, but remember
We
how
always take it back to wrestling.
terrible those last few episodes of Nitro was before it got canceled, and they had all those like behind the set where the wrestlers were like, I don't know if you were even watching, but Kevin Nash
No.
took over writing, and then there were all these like hidden camera stuff where the wrestlers were talking backstage, like not in character, they were talking like themselves, and that was like, he was like, yeah, we got to take it to Larry Sanders, like he knew, well, whatever. That was his whole thing, was to just like show
Okay.
what it was like behind the scenes, and like they're doing that now again, I guess, with
Yeah, they
wrestling.
kind of are. Yeah.
Like it took him like
Huh.
30 years later, and Triple H is like, "Mm." Also, I meant to share this to you before you get into your story. There was a show in the 80s called It's a Living. I meant to send it to you, and I accidentally posted it to my Facebook page because it was like 1 a.m. last night. And I was like, I've never seen this, but it looks terrible.
It's a living.
You right?
I feel like that's how every episode ends. It's
Executive
like,
producers Paul Junger-Witt and Tony Thomas.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
That came out of
So
nowhere.
Was this pre-Bloss or post-Bloss?
Definitely pre-Bloss. This was like
Wow,
83 or
okay.
something. Anyway, sorry. I
Okay.
totally stole your time. Go back.
That's all right. There's really not much of a story here. I hadn't thought about this show in a while, and I was driving one day, and I was thinking about one of the scenes in that show, and I was like, wait a second, the wife seemed very familiar to me. And then I sat on it for a few days, and then I was like, oh yeah, I was thinking about Larry Sanders. And then I looked it up, and I was like, I am correct. The wife on Larry Sanders was Arlene McCafferty. Crazy.
Maybe
Crazy. So
that's our
she
next
did go
journey.
on to other things after, being kicked to the curb by one
You
Nick
can't
Russo.
stop those Irish descent, Sal. We'll persevere.
You know what I feel like we have to do? I mean, we may have already brought this up, but I feel like we should do a revisit of that episode.
We should absolutely.
We should
back.
rewatch it and do a revisit and just see where we stand now,
Right.
knowing like how
'Cause
much
I've
we've
completely
talked about
changed
it.
on my my attitude towards women. I think she got exactly what she deserved. Like,
And I
we're gonna flip. We're gonna flip when we go back. I'm gonna be like, why would you ever talk to them again? I mean, Nick had it right this whole time.
I don't
4
think
years
that. I
later.
just think that we had such like I don't even know why. We just had such opposing views on this episode and we bring it up all the time. And now it's almost like to the point of like why we're doing this podcast is
Right.
like we've talked about it so much that I don't even remember why we're here. Like I don't even know how we got to this place of like doing a Blossom podcast because we just talked about Blossom so much. There was a specific Blossom joke that we always had that we always went to. And
Yep.
I don't remember what it is. And I was trying to like really think about it. Like, why did we
We've
talk
told
about
the story
Blossom?
so many times, but yet there's no specific memory. I just remember
Yeah,
all
and
those,
and then
we'd go to Comic-Con and we'd shoot 3 days worth of footage, and then we'd come back and we'd just like, no, let's do this now. Or like the exhibition coverage where we'd shoot all day and we had to get it on the channel as soon as possible.
Yeah.
So we would just start editing
Yeah.
at like 10 o'clock and we'd finish at like 3 in the morning. And we would just get silly and giddy and we'd be drinking coffee all night. And yeah, we would just like say like, well, my opinionation. Just anytime
I remember
there
the
was, like,
theme.
a-
I remember the theme came up quite a bit.
yeah. And
Maybe that was
whoa!
our entire connection to the show. I have no idea.
And
But
I
it's like
remember
one of those
talking
things
like
that like we
Mr. Russo, Mr. Russo. And that was it. There wasn't much
Maybe that
more to
was
that.
it.
And here we are, 41 episodes later of a Blossom podcast. I think we're just like chasing how things used to be, Sal. We need to
Could be.
recapture how it was
could be.
15 years ago when we were younger and had less worries. And times were easier. Is that it?
less worries and more hair.
Yeah, oh, don't get me
I've-
started. This cap is firmly on. When we were in Disney, I wore my cap in the pool because I was like, nah.
Wow, you went
Yeah.
there, eh?
Yeah, I'm gonna go to Turkey one of these days and get that fixed. But for now,
Turkish
we'll be doing the
Airlines.
cast one day, and you'll just see like blood kind of coming out of my hat, and I'll be like, "Hey, I just got back from Turkey." It's gonna fool everyone. I'm 26. It's my goal anyway.
All right.
Yeah,
We could do a podcast from Turkey. We could both go.
great. 2
But
for
yeah,
one. These are discounted.
I-
Both. God, I would love. We should. I mean, hair transplant aside, it'd be fun to go to Turkey. We could do the show from out there. Okay, Bloomer live from Turkey. If I knew anything about Turkey, I'd have a follow-up joke. But
I got nothing. I got nothing. All my knowledge from Turkey is that a lot of balding men go there to get.
Yep, I love. There's a picture somebody took of a flight to Turkey, and you could just see bald
Yeah.
spots the whole way up the
Yeah,
plane.
yeah.
It was funny before. It's not really funny now. So anyway.
All right, moving on.
Okay. I
Six
wrote
says
this
she's
is some good stuff this week. Like I'm feeling this. I'm feeling this
Yeah.
episode. We missed the studio audience reacting as if I can't remember. This doesn't make sense what I wrote. The studio audience reacted hard for something, and I don't know what it was because I like must have deleted something. Because we have a flute and too many cooks. Oh, I said okay. Six storms out, and I wrote, if there was ever a time for some flute and a too many cooks shot, it's right now, and they gave it to us. That's what I meant to
Nice.
say.
nice.
Yeah.
Nailed it. All right. So Joey walks into the kitchen later on, I'm assuming, and he starts sighing. He's just like, ugh. And then Tony doesn't really react, so he does it again. He's like, ugh. Tony's like, all right, man, I'll bite. What's wrong?
I wrote, let's see what nothing Anthony brings to the table this episode. Continue.
Poor Tony. So Joey says he struck out today big time. And he's like, it's not that big of a deal. You'll get him next game. He's talking about girls. He's not talking about baseball. And then Joey's basically going on about how he can't score. he's going to have to become a priest, and he's lied about doing it more times than Wilt Chamberlain actually did it.
I appreciated that line. And that also answers our question of if Joey is actually sleeping with all these girls, and he's not. Because remember, that's come up a few times. We're like, is he actually like closing the deal with all these ladies?
Right.
And he's not. That was good.
No, I think they've made it pretty clear that like he hasn't.
Really? I thought it was always kind of vague, but I don't know.
Anyways, Tony says that guys always lie about doing it when they're not, and girls always lie about doing it when they are. And then Joey says, well, how does anybody actually get to do it?
I thought this was actually really good dialogue and like what Blossom should be, because he's like, Anthony says, like, those girls aren't worth it. And what does he say? Well, yeah, he says the girls that like give it up immediately aren't worth it. And I was like, look at that, a pro like girl line in Blossom of all places, right? It feels like season 1 again. Like we're throwing the ladies some bones, right? Yeah. I was like, wow, look.
It's like they remembered what this show was for. Or who this show was for.
It's like the girls might feel good about themselves for the first time watching the show in like years.
Yeah. So then Joey tells Tony his plan. He's going to get an escort.
Out of nowhere.
Right?
Just.
He must have had a really bad day.
Right. To be fair, it does fix bad days. Just kidding. Go and continue, Sal.
Tony says they're called prostitutes. Joey goes, no, they're called hookers. Someone in the crowd clapped so loud for that joke.
Out of nowhere, Joey's suddenly like, I'm going to get a prostitute. Jesus, what just happened? I love this episode. Keep the crazy coming. I mentioned Anthony is pretty good in this scene. Like, he's doing a good job, like the actor. They're actually giving him something of substance for once. I thought he was pretty good. And then he makes Joey promise he won't get a prostitute. And Joey goes, okay, I promise. Then a hard cut to Joey on the phone. He's like, so she could be here in 20 minutes?
Yeah.
This is good. I love this.
Yeah. And then he asked if they had a special rate for first-time buyers. Which I thought was
a coupon.
Yeah.
And I guess, like, I honestly, was escort services, is it still a thing? Was it a thing? Because, you think about prostitution, and the only image that comes to my mind is, like, the girl leaning into the car on the side of the street, right?
Right, street corner. Yeah.
I guess.
Don't know, man.
Again, it's one of those things that I remember sitcoms using all the time, but
right.
I don't know.
Well, I'm sure there's you could find anything on the internet now, so
yeah, I'm probably not going to Google
something.
That.
Yeah, I'd rather
Anywho,
let's. All right, too many cooks nighttime.
Make house calls. I'll have that in my search engine.
Yeah, it's not a good idea.
Research. I was doing research.
This was for the Blossom podcast. Get off my back.
God. Should have Arlene McCaffrey you years ago. Okay. Blossom and the Vin Man agree to take a night apart. And what happened to Vinny seeing other people?
I thought the same thing. That was like 2 episodes ago.
That was
they
a
had
huge
an open
thing.
relationship.
It was like threatening this entire story arc, and they just dropped it. They didn't even reconcile
they never
that
concluded
episode.
That either.
It ended where Six and Blossom were having a sleepover, and Blossom was like, you got to lie about where we were tonight, Six. You got to tell Vinny that we were at a party and boys were hitting on us. And she was like, okay.
Yeah.
And then it went to credits. And now it's like they're fine again. Like,
yeah, there's no consistency here. And also, Vinny is still just the worst character on the show.
He really is.
I cannot stand this guy. Anyways, so yeah, Six is going to end up coming over tonight to hang out with Blossom. This is where I noted that there was no consistency here. And then Vinny said he's going to hang out with the guys tonight, but Blossom doesn't approve of a guy named Louie. He's a guy with a bed in the back of his van.
That sounds rapey.
Yeah, right?
I wouldn't
I don't think
approve
anyone
of that
should
either.
be hanging out with this guy. Yeah. And then she says, what about Tom Lenoff? And then Vinny says, that guy dissects frogs at home. And then I wrote, serial killer. I want to find out more about this guy.
Right? That's what the episode should have been about.
Yeah.
And I was like, look at Blossom dunking on other nerds. Like,
right?
What a loser.
No, but then she tries to like big him up because she's like, I heard he has a really happening moth collection.
Yeah.
And Joey's inside the house. He's wearing a suit for the hooker. Blossom walks in. Joey's practicing getting undressed.
Made me
Blossom's
laugh.
like, did you forget how to do that?
He's practicing in the mirror.
Yeah.
And he's not even like putting on a show or having fun with it. He's just like undoing buttons.
Yeah.
It's not like he's like, trying to do a routine.
Yeah. So then Joey's like freaking out because he was supposed to have the house to himself tonight. And as we know, like anytime that happens on this sitcom, I mean, I know it's any sitcom, but like anytime that happens, everybody ends up being there anyways.
100%.
Even though they're all like, we have plans. So Joey's like trying his hardest to get Blossom out of the house. And I thought this was really funny. Like the back and forth, like the quickness of the dialogue and like him trying to kick her out of the house was. I thought it was good
Everybody is
stuff.
doing great this episode. They feel
Yeah.
like it feels like they're all inspired with Eve Needleman's writing.
The need.
The need. They got the need for the need.
Yeah.
The needle need. Here's where I pressed pause, Sal, because Blossom's whole thing was like, well, 6 is coming over.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, the next doorbell, it's either going to be the prostitute or 6. And I was like, whoa.
What if it's
Imagine if
both?
6 was the prostitute and she's been living a double life this whole time. Huh?
Now that would be
Huh?
some
No see
writing.
that coming. Oh, I mean, there's a lot of moving parts to that where she would
There
have
is.
to forget where Blossom lives, but
Yeah.
in a different world, in a different timeline. Isn't that what they talk about? Different timelines. 6 shows
Sure.
up as the prostitute, and nothing is ever the same in the Blossom universe.
Right. Or the prostitute it is Jenna Von Oy playing the prostitute, but it's like a different character with an accent,
Yes.
something like that. And then 6 gets
Sorry, when I
6
said
gets all
nothing's ever
jealous,
the
like, what?
same.
You're gonna do it with this girl? She looks exactly like me.
That's pretty funny, actually.
Right?
When I said nothing will ever be the same in the Blossom universe, I thought you were going to say nothing will ever be the same in the prostitute universe. I thought that's what you were about to say. Which
No,
you
but I
also
should've.
be correct.
Well.
Okay. Blossom,
yes.
says 6 is coming over and asks if that's going to be a downer. And Joey goes, you have no idea. That's an erection joke, isn't it? Right?
I didn't catch that at all. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
She goes, she's like, she asks if that's going to be a downer. And he goes, you have no idea. Eve,
Love
the
it.
need. Just sneaking stuff in left and right in this episode. So upstairs, Joey is trying to cancel the hooker. And I guess it's like the pimp on the other line says he's going to break Joey.
Yeah, Mr. Rocco threatens to break every bone in his body. And then that's when the doorbell rings. And then we get a freeze frame watercolor on a stressed out Joey. And I'm assuming that's a commercial break because when we come back from commercial break, Blossom answers the door. We think it's supposed to be the hooker, but it's just 6. And then,
Right?
yeah.
Could have been
And
both.
then they start getting into an argument over Vinny again. And then that's 6 storms out again. And then Joey's trying to get rid of them both. And then they agree that they should argue about their friendship over greasy fries and international coffee. And then they both look at each other and say, Jean-Luc. I don't get it.
I didn't even look that up. I think Eve Needleman probably deserved for me to look that up, but I didn't. It's probably
not
like the
get
best
that
clever
reference.
joke. Maybe maybe that was another member of the Ku Klux Klan because they always seem to dunk on those folks, and rightfully so. But anytime
Yeah,
I
a guy named
anytime I look
Jean-Luc
up a
in the
name
Ku
that I
Klux
don't know
Klan.
who it is, it usually is a joke about the Klan. To go back, the gals. Yeah, we freeze frame and Corel draw with Joey's face as the sweet sax plays, and that may have been my favorite Corel draw freeze frame sax going into commercial break ever. It was a thing of
great.
beauty. And again,
Yeah.
I'm just like loving this episode. So at the door, at 6, it's not the prostitute. The gals fight, and then they go to the kitchen, and Joey's freaking out, and then in walks Candy with a K, and she is like 8 feet tall, Sal.
Right? Yeah. And she asks if he is Mr. Springsteen. And Joey goes, yep, that's me.
I missed that. That's pretty funny. That's his fake name.
Yeah. So in the kitchen, Blossom is saying that she won't mention Vinny all night, and we get Six going, "Oh, please," which I thought was very funny.
Yeah, she was trying to make that her catchphrase, I think.
Yeah, I think so because she's dropped it a few times.
Yeah, and no, sorry, Jenna Von Oy. There's only one catchphrase in Blossom, and it's "whoa." You guys will never get on top of that.
That's it. They've maxed out their catchphrase.
You'll never get out from underneath the "whoa" that is Joey Lawrence's catchphrase
No.
of the show.
No. And then Six says she's not used to being Blossom's second choice. Blossom says she'll set her up with Tom Lenoff. We get a call back. And Six goes, "The moth guy?" All right.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
this is a tightly
bad.
written episode. Like I'm
Not
not being facetious. Hugh Needleman
Yeah.
is bringing her A game.
Yeah.
I wrote the girls make up. It's a moment. It's fine. Nothing groundbreaking there.
Yeah.
But in the living room, the prostitute hugs Joey, and he likes that. But then she's like, "First things first," and he starts taking his clothes off, and she's like, "No, that's the second thing." And then he
Yeah.
pulls out his Winnie the Pooh piggy bank, and that broke me. I laughed so hard at that. And sorry, this is actually up in Joey's room, isn't it? This isn't in the living room like I thought.
Yeah. Yeah. So he gets his piggy bank out from under his bed. It's Winnie the Pooh. There's a bunch of change. And she's like, "There's $100 in there?" I'm like, all right, sure. And then from the kitchen, Blossom yells that there's a fire. And Joey makes the hooker hide under the bed.
Yeah, I mean that might be $10 extra, but I'm sure she doesn't care. Right?
And then Blossom's banging on the door. Joey opens it. She's like, "There's a fire." He's like, "I don't care." He slams the door in her face.
So he puts out the fire, and then now the characters start returning. Nick comes home. His gig got canceled because, quote, some girl was doing a Michelle Pfeiffer impersonation and fell off the piano. I looked it up, Sal. Did that make sense to you?
I looked it up as well.
Oh,
Fabulous
okay.
Baker Boys.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah.
I felt like I should have known that as like an 80s movie reference, but yeah, the Fabulous Baker Boys.
Yeah, I feel like I should have too. The song's called "Making Whoopee."
Yeah.
I watched the clip of it.
Yeah, so did I. I guess it's a classic movie moment, but maybe not like
Yeah.
a PG one. That's maybe why it's
Probably
not in
not.
every Hollywood montage. Maybe that's why
Jeff
it didn't make
Bridges.
the
Jeff Bridges playing the
Disney
piano, the dude.
movie history ride. Classic movie moment though, Michelle Pfeiffer. Yeah.
Yep.
I read some of the comments and it was really funny. This one guy was like, I played this at my like grade 8 talent show, and they wouldn't let one of the girls dance on the piano, so she just walked in circles around it. And if that's not the most elementary school thing ever.
But they sang the song. They let them sing the
I guess,
song?
apparently.
Okay.
I remember in grade 8, my friend Christy May, remember in elementary school, all the girls would do dances. Remember that? Was that in your school too? Where for like, it was
I'm
like
sure
a
it's
talent
in
show
every
or
school.
something, and all the girls would just do like solo dances.
Yeah.
And it was like some kid in grade 6 was emceeing, and we're all just like waiting for this to end. And they're like, and next, Christy May will dance to the song, "You Don't Have to Take Your Clothes Off to Have a Good Time." And we're that image is just burned in my. So we all looked at it like the teachers, and they were all just like trying to no sell it. And we're like, yeah, that snuck in there.
Wow.
One of my most prominent grade 8 pre-grad memories. Like, well,
Shout
good
out
luck.
Christy
We're off to
May.
high school.
All right.
Yeah. Sorry for that record scratch. Keep going.
I'm sure she appreciates you bringing that up. All right. Joey's trying to get rid of Nick, but he rented his favorite movie, Dumbo. And Joey's like, "Oh, do we have to watch it tonight?" And this was a great line. Nick was like, "Well, when you rent something for one night, you have to get your money's worth." Joey's like, "Yeah, I know what you mean."
That should have been a whoa moment, but it's not.
So
That would have
good.
been a great. Yeah, I tracked that too. That's a great line.
So back in
Upstairs, the
Joey's
whore is
room-
calling her mom in Poland.
Yeah. And then
And Joey's
he tells,
freaking out. It took me a second, but I was like, yeah, this used to matter. Like calling after 6 long distance.
well, I would think that calling to Poland now would cost a
Fair.
whole lot of money too. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's pretty funny. Candy wants to watch Dumbo with them, and then Joey says they need to figure out a way to get her out of there. And then she's like, "Well, is your father as smart as you are?" And he's like, "Nah, almost."
You missed the best joke of the show, though, Sal.
Okay.
Where
let's hear
Joey
it.
comes back up and he goes, "There's a problem. My dad's downstairs," and she goes, "No, no, no, not for $100." Did you miss that?
I think I did.
It's a great joke.
That's a good line.
Prostitute humor apparently lands big time because everything she said so far has made me laugh. So
It does
it's
with one Curtis
it's an
Anderson.
unexplored
that's for sure.
genre. I feel we should really go back to that.
Maybe there needs to be a prostitute sitcom. That would really,
I think prostitutes would actually be really funny in like a stand-up situation.
like
You know?
a stand-up
should have,
comedy
like-
situation.
Stand-up, like like they should have prostitute night at the comedy club.
They probably have a lot of stories.
Absolutely, they're probably really funny.
Yeah, true.
And then they could just be like, "Oh, hey, Mr. Needleman, get in the front row." Like that in itself is funny. Being like,
Yeah, that's
"Hey,
true.
Frank, what's up? We still good for Friday?" Just make everyone uncomfortable.
Oh, is that your wife? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it makes sense though. It makes
Yeah.
sense now.
Yeah.
See, this thing writes itself.
Oh, brilliant.
Stand-up prostitution comedy. As we're sitting on
Wednesday
$1
night is
million
hooker
idea,
night.
Sal. Another $1 million idea.
We're just full of them here.
So
are
he
just
says
full
his
of 'em.
family's downstairs watching Dumbo, and she gets excited and wants to go watch. And he goes, "You can't go down there." And she goes, "Why? Are you ashamed of me?" And he goes, "Why would I be ashamed of you?" She goes, "Because I'm a hooker." And the crowd thinks that's a funny joke. And I hate to say that I think that's a funny joke.
It's pretty good. It's pretty
The
good.
delivery is good.
Yeah.
So they pivot. Do you have anything
yeah.
before we go to the conclusion here downstairs?
No, let's move on.
All right, so they pivot with a new plan, and Joey takes her downstairs to meet his family and goes, "She's in high school with me,
Yeah.
and we're practicing for the school play." And when she walks downstairs, like Six and Blossoms cutaway reaction to each other as they see this 8-foot tall whore coming down the stairs is really good. And they keep cutting back to it. They don't like flinch. They're both just like, "What happening?"
Yeah. So good.
She says her name is Candy Majesko Wooster Bluster Lobsky.
I didn't track that at all.
And
So
Nick
good.
goes, "You go to his high school?" And she goes, "Well, I know the principal."
Yeah.
Horror humor. It's amazing. It doesn't falter.
good.
It's
So
only
good.
home runs. I'm serious. Like that is good stuff.
Yeah. So Candy ends up leaving, and then Joey's just pointing to the kitchen. And the way that Joey like slowly walked to the kitchen while wearing the suit that's too big for him, just gold.
Yeah, it was very
Just
Talking Heads ish.
Yeah.
David burning his shoulders to the kitchen. And even the cutaway of Nick being like
Yeah. So
was
funny.
really good.
Yeah.
I love this episode. I laughed harder this episode than I have laughed at an episode in a long time.
Fair enough, man.
No.
So in the kitchen, they're both just Joey's sitting at the table and Nick's standing over him, and they're both just staring at each other, laughing. And then Nick found a place to put all of his repressed anger. He just snaps on Joey, and he's like, "You just got caught with a smoking gun." Joey's like, "I swear I never fired a shot." So good.
This thing is so well written. This is one of the best episodes I think we've seen in a long time.
Yeah, and then they're talking about they're talking about sex, and Nick's like, a lot of adults aren't even having sex, and then Joey's like, "Well, I still have the phone number upstairs if you want it." So good.
Yeah, so here we have Nick, giving Joey advice about sex again, which is always good. But they do a good job
Yeah.
of this again. They
Yeah,
land
except
the
for the
plane
part
where
where
Nick
Nick
says
says-
like sex is okay, but paying for it is not okay. It's supposed to be between two people who care for each other. I mean, not in Nick Russo's case, but in
Yeah.
most.
That was my same reaction to that. I was like, "That's rich coming from Nick Russo."
Yeah. Arlene McCafferty standing in the window in the rain.
Yeah.
Still waiting for that call back, Mr. Russo.
Yeah.
Joey's really good here. Like Joey Lawrence again, really good acting here. But then
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like they made her go back and end it with a joke. Like, we couldn't just end on a serious moment in a Blossom episode or like a sitcom in general. It's like they had to have a joke before the freeze frame, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so they end with a dumb joke. I didn't even track it. I was just like, you guys.
Well, he basically says to Joey, he's like, the kind of experience that you're looking for can't be bought for $100. And then he like turns around to walk away, and Joey's like, "Oh, what about 200?" And then it freeze frames on
I guess.
Nick
It
basically.
was
rolling
funnier
his
when you
eyes.
did it back, Sal, to be honest.
Ah, well, thank you,
Yeah.
you. Yeah, my final thoughts on the episode is that it's almost like it works better when Joey's the main focus of the show.
I made
Blossom
that
was-
note too.
Blossom was in the B plot, which was a little weird. And I mean, like the whole story between her and Six and the friendship with her having a boyfriend. I mean, I suppose that is one that needed to be addressed, but it was kind of worked better as the B plot of the show. And the whole Joey thing really worked as the main story.
No, I 100% agree.
Yeah.
Outtakes again during the extra.
Oh, I didn't get
last
any of that.
minute, no last 30-second joke, which I felt like him getting the phone bill to Poland was going to pay off. I wonder if that got cut.
Ah, yeah. I thought that would.
I
come
thought
back
that
for
was going to be
sure,
the
too.
final joke where
Yeah.
Joey when he gets the
Yeah,
$600 bill for telephone bill to Poland, but no,
Yeah.
we just end with the outtakes during the credits.
I don't see
Rio
any of that
and
stuff.
Thomas Witt, or Witt, Thomas, and Rio. Once again,
Nice. Well done. All right, man. Do you have a lesson for the week?
I do have a lesson. I'm glad you asked, Sal.
Oh boy, can't wait.
Paying
What
for
did you
sex.
learn today, Curtis?
Paying for sex is not funny. Paying for sex from someone from Poland named Candy Majesko Wooster Bulisterlobski. Hilarious. That's my lesson this week. That's what Blossom taught me. And Eve Needleman needed to write more episodes. Oh my God. I love this episode,
Tip
Sal.
of the
This
cap
is probably
to Eve Needleman.
one of my top 10, if not 5, favorite episodes we've done so far. All the actors were motivated.
Wow.
They were given actually like well thought out dialogue that like represented their character, all of them across the board. Even the like 30 seconds we saw Anthony, he was pretty good. So once again, it's like do you ever go on holidays, Sal, and you're worried that whoever like does your job while you're gone is going to do a much better job than you? Did you ever have that? No,
Not
that's just
really.
me. I feel like I'm living in Rio's mind, because I feel like every time he lets someone else write, it's way better, and then he writes the next like 4 before he lets someone
Yeah.
do it again. Because he's back
Yeah.
writing next week. Eve doesn't get a second run.
Sure
at this.
is. He
I will-
sure is.
I will say the other Eve Needleman episode was the CNC Music Factory episode.
Which was a great episode. We loved that one
Okay.
too. See,
Wow.
like this actually makes sense. Like, I think he's just so scared about his lack of knowing. Like, they probably brought him on because he had this, pedigree and this long resume of writing sitcoms, but he has no idea how to write a sitcom for teenage girls and their families to watch. He has
No.
no idea. And we're going to see that next episode, because we go right back
It's
into
fairly
like
obvious.
the dismal mind of Don Rio and his weird fantasies.
Yeah.
Eve Needleman, though, she had that wrapped up, man. So, Eve Needleman,
for her.
absolute legend. Go to the pit,
All
Sal.
right.
Anything else to add?
Pick characters. There's only one this week. Actually, scratch that. There are no pick characters this week. Catherine DePrume played Candy, and she comes back in season 4 as Veronica.
Mm.
So
Maybe we get another prostitute episode.
yeah, we might. We might. Eve Needleman's not going to write it, but we might.
No, she did so well, she wrote herself out of a job.
She went to go have one episode stints on every other sitcom after
Unreal.
this.
Yeah. Didn't play the
Justice
game
for
correctly.
Eve. Justice
Rio
for
was
Eve.
like, this episode needed more girls in bikinis. I'll show you how it's done next week, Eve. This is what 14-year-old girls and their families want to see. Lots of girls in bikinis, Eve. Come on. All right, walk that sweet ass out of here. You're done. You'll never work in Hollywood again, Eve Needleman. You'll never work again.
Beat it, Toots. Get out of here. All right, man. What do
Probably
we got next
exactly how
week?
it went down, to be honest.
I mean, that's. Were we in the room?
Justice for Eve. I also started doing this in Disney. I don't know why, because I've never done this before. But you know, when they take your picture on rides, every single time I was doing the like Roman Reigns tribal chief thing, and I can't turn it off now. I did it
Nice.
at work yesterday. They were like, "Hey, really good episode." I was like,
You're acknowledging the tribal chief, man. Nothing wrong with that.
"Absolutely." All right, final thoughts. Anyone? Where are we going next? Phenom. I don't think I gave that to you. So,
I got it.
oh, shit, he's ready.
Come on, man.
Next
Give him some
one,
credit.
Season 3, Episode 5, The Joey Chronicles.
I'm already cringing because I know exactly where it's gonna go. You thought you
Yeah.
wanted a full Joey episode, Sal. You wanted a full Joey episode written by Eve Needleman, not by Don Rio.
You are correct.
Let's start crawling through the mud early, because it's coming up next week, the Joey Chronicles.
Don't